Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Manchester United versus AZ Alkmaar preview, as well as all the day's latest Manchester United transfer news. We'll be talking about Erling Haaland, and apparently the transfer deal is off to Manchester United, even if it was on. Some people might be quite happy with that, having watched him just play against Liverpool in what was, to be honest with you, a Poundland Lukaku performance. But I do think he's a decent player, but apparently that deal may well be off. Also links to Saul Niguez as well, and we'll be talking about the preview as well. We'll also be I'm a little bit late tonight, and I've got to be honest with you and apologise for that. The reason I'm a little bit late is because Flex has just sent me an audio clip of somebody calling in to talk sport, slagging off fan channels and slagging the United Stand off. Basically, TalkSport at the moment are quite rumbled by fan content. They've gone on AFTV, and now they're obviously trying to pull us into it. This is the same TalkSport that you can phone in every night and pay £1 a minute to queue up and call in as a fan. And they come out with great topics such as who is the best manager, Duncan Ferguson or Sir Alex Ferguson. And tomorrow we'll be talking about who's the best Cruyff, Johan or Geordie. You know, they literally come out with the biggest clickbait to get you to call in and take your money and talk absolute shit. But apparently fan content that's been created by fans is now the new devil. It's toxic. We're toxic people. We're so toxic we've raised 20 grand for cancer charities this year. We're so toxic anyone can call in. We're so toxic that we're real fans giving real fan opinion. It's just hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And, you know, we're going through an election in the UK at the moment, and there's so much bullshit and lies out there, and I just feel like this attack on our community, the United Stand is a community that we have created, and I just think it's laughable some of the stuff that's coming out. Oh, they say they want managers out, and they have a go at the players and the owners, and it's just causing a divide. We're all causing a divide because we think a manager might not be good enough, or a player might not be good enough, or our owners are not very good. I tell you what, why don't you get in a field with a dog and be a sheep and just all herd up every bloody morning? If that's what you want, that's what you want. But you know what? There's a couple of programmes I can't stand. I can't stand Songs of Praise, sorry to the religious lot, and I can't stand the Antique Roadshow. I just turn it off. I'd rather go for a dump in a field and watch everyone watch me. I'm not interested in that sort of programmes, so I don't watch it. It's as simple as that. But people get obsessed with... Apparently, me and Flex are evil masterminds trying to destroy Manchester United Football Club. No, I think that's the Glazers and Ed Woodward, thank you very much. But look, at the end of the day, it's all about opinion. And somebody actually said... One day they're saying that the manager's not good enough, and then we win, and they're saying, oh, actually, he might be good enough. It just causes a divide. What do they want us to do? Sit there and say, I don't know whether he's good enough, then we win, I still think he's not good enough. It's human nature, for God's sake. It's bloody fan opinion. Anyway, let's get into it. I want to talk about Erling Haaland, but this is... Manchester United's game against AZ Alkmaar is very interesting on Thursday night because we are top of the group at the moment and they're second. And the way I think it is, I think that we're both going to qualify anyway. And AZ Alkmaar, if they were to beat us, would go above us in the Europa League and we would be second. Now, a lot of people are saying play Ethan Laird, play Brandon Williams, play Jimmy Garner, play all these youth players. And I'm like... But if we lose, we could come second in the league. And if we come second in the league of the Europa League group, then we'll get a tougher game in the next round. We could get an Inter Milan. We could get a Valencia. We could get an Ajax if they get knocked down. So it's not a good idea to finish second and have a harder time in the knockout stage when you want to win that tournament. We want to win that tournament, so it makes common sense to get an easier round. So we want to finish top of the group. So I think we've got to go with a mixture of a team because... AZ Alkmaar are literally 3 points off Ajax in the Dutch league. They're having a really good season. Now, funnily enough, they are playing Ajax on Sunday, so I don't know whether... It depends how Alkmaar see the game themselves, because they might think, well, Ajax is more important to us. We'll put a weakened team out against United, and it could be weakened team against weakened team. But if AZ Alkmaar turn up and think, actually... we want to put a strong team out because we want to top the group, that could present a problem for United because, to be honest with you, I think they should have beaten us in Holland. We got a draw, but I think they should have beaten us, and they're a decent side. So I think we've got to be a little bit careful about how weak we go. But on the other hand, we've got a huge game. I mean, Everton at home isn't normally a huge game, but it is a huge game for us because there are fans out there that feel that yeah, we can raise our game against Spurs and City, but we'll go and bloody draw against Everton. So that's a big game for us, and match freshness will be very important because Everton have had a whole week off. So what I'm trying to say in a long way is how we present ourselves in this game could be quite important. It could all be saved by the fact that AZ Alkmaar go with a weakened team as well, but I think finishing top of the group is very important. It's very important because how irritated would you be if we finish second in the group because we lose to Alkmaar and then we pull out Inter Milan next week in the Europa League draw when we could have been pulling out a bunch of farmers from whoever, and that's what we want. We want the easier draw, don't we? So this is the way I would go with it. I haven't put a goalkeeper in because it's Romero. I don't know why I've not put a goalkeeper in. I hope I haven't made any more mistakes in that team. But Romero will play in goal. I think putting Phil Jones in there is somewhat daunting, but he's got to play. He's got, we've given him a 5-year contract. I think that was a massive mistake, but he's got to play because you can't give players who are in their 20s big contracts and then never play them. This is why Mata's got to play on Thursday as well. I don't want Mata to play. I don't want Phil Jones to play. I put this out on Twitter today. If I could sell 5 Manchester United players tomorrow, I would sell Mata, Matic, Jones, Ashley Young and Rojo. They'd just be gone. I'd say go off for Christmas and don't come back. They'd be gone. Because there's no room for sentimentality. There's only room for sentimentality if you're in a comfortable position. If you're Liverpool and you can be a bit sentimental because you've got a big points gap, but even they won't be because it's going to be their first Premier League win in 30 years, their first title win in 30 years. They've never won the Premier League. So sentimentality, there's no place for it when you're trying to fight your way out of a hole. You've got to be ruthless. So these players shouldn't be here, but they are here. They're on good money, so they've got to play so that others can have a rest. So Jones and Twansebi should be the centre-backs. I would play Wan-Bissaka at right-back just to give us a little bit of experience. Also, they've got a winger called Idrissi, who's good. You might remember him from the first leg. Brandon Williams can play at left-back. I don't think Luke Shaw or Young need to play. I'd play McTominay because I think Fred needs the rest, and then I'd play Pereira. I wouldn't be chucking Garner into a game like this, or Dylan Levitt. I wouldn't do that, but you never know. Ollie might. They're not a bad team, AZ Alkmaar, and we don't want to get beat. So I would put McTominay in there. Mata's obviously got to play. Greenwood would play. Chong should come in on the left, and I think Rashford will play down the centre because I don't want Martial overdoing it with some of the knocks that he's had. And that's as strong as I would go, and I still think that's a strong team with some younger players in there. But would I start sending the team that went and played in Kazakhstan? No, I wouldn't. Against the Astana, I wouldn't do that because I think we'll get beat, and if we get beat, we'll come second in the group. So I think it's important that we do have a mix in there, and we put a team out that can get a result. Daniel Turpin says, "Why not Garner, Mark?" I'd be happy to play Garner if he's going to play with McTominay, but I wouldn't be happy to play Garner with Pereira. So I would be happy to do that, and then but Pereira's got to start because he didn't start at the weekend. So what are you going to do? Put Pereira on the left wing? It is an interesting one, isn't it? But I wouldn't go too weak. I wouldn't go too weak because I think I've seen a lot of United predicted 11s, and people are saying, like I say, play this youngster, that youngster. Let's play everyone who played in Kazakhstan. But if we lose, we come second in the group. It's not worth doing that. And you know what? The youngsters might win, but they might not win as well. And they didn't win. They didn't win against the Astana, did they? So why would they beat AZ Alkmaar? So. And I think people are underestimating the power of coming top of the group as opposed to coming second. You're inviting a tough game if you come second in the group. As I said, it could be Inter Milan, it could be Ajax, it could be Valencia. We don't want to invite a hard game. Or it could be another team that's finished top of their group. We need to finish top of the group. And to do that, I think we've got to go with a slightly stronger team than some people are putting out there. But that's just my opinion. You might have a different one. You could put Rashford on the left and Greenwood striker with Chong on the right, says Andreas. We could do that. Could Pogba make a return, says Stephen Hughes? I mean, just very quickly on Paul Pogba, I'm not even expecting Pogba to play against Everton. I hope he does, but I don't think he's back for Everton because Everton, I think the way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last update with Pogba was talking about, I've said that I hope he'll be back before New Year, and I think that will happen. And I think that Pogba, I'm more thinking Pogba will be back after Boxing Day when we've got Newcastle, Burnley, and then Arsenal on New Year's Day. So that's when I'm thinking Pogba will be back. Maybe Watford, maybe Colchester, but I'm not expecting him to be back for the Everton game. But maybe I'm wrong on that. We'll get an update from Ollie's press conference tomorrow morning. And a lot of people are asking about Pogba, but my understanding is that Pogba won't be back this week, but maybe he will. But a lot of what I've heard is that he won't be back. I certainly think he's going to play for Manchester United again, definitely. And people saying that he won't. DJ Fave says he's got his 5 Cantonage jumper today. We'll have it on Christmas. Nice one, mate. They're nice, aren't they? They're good jumpers. I don't think I've put the link in the video description actually, but you can find it on the watch along and a few of the other videos if you want to. Pogba can leave, says Michael Jones. And who would you sack, Woodward or the Glazers, says Tahik Finney. It's tough, isn't it? I think they're both equally destructive to what we're trying to build, to be honest with you. Now that we've got through these hard games, I'm fine with him being back by Boxing Day, says K Benz. Yeah, and I think Pogba's not as important, is he, at the moment? I think that without Pogba we'll probably still be okay. We should be okay against Everton and Watford. I would agree with you. There's no reason to rush Pogba back at the moment. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody. Anyway, let's talk about Erling Haaland for a moment. A bit of topical Manchester United news. The news around Haaland coming out today is that, Mino Raiola was part of the deal that took Haaland from Molde to Salzburg a year ago. And Mino Raiola will be involved in his next move. And the feeling is that they don't want Haaland to go to Manchester United next. They want him to go somewhere else and then Manchester United, which immediately makes the blood start to boil and irritate, because this is Mino Raiola, the greedy agent, all over, isn't it? Instead of Manchester United getting him now at a reasonable price, because apparently he's got a release clause of around 20 million. No. Let him go somewhere else first, like Dortmund or a next step, and then the next one after that will make the big money. This is bloody football. This is football. And, a footballer's career is being mapped so that the move after this one, it'll go for around 100 million and everyone makes loads of money. This is football, and it's very cynical, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if this was true. Because if you think about this, Mino Raiola treats they're all his mates. Look, me and Paul get on really well, and I'm sure Paul Pogba thinks him and Raiola get on really well. But I tell you what, if Paul Pogba suddenly played crap and broke both his legs, I'm sure Mino Raiola would go and look at one of his other clients where he can make a lot more money, and it'd just be WhatsApp messages. But because Pogba's so marketable, of course he loves Pogba. But looking at the way football agents work, and specifically the way I think Mino Raiola works, is that, look, if you've got Erling Haaland, right, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants Erling Haaland in January, and we can get him for about £30 million, and Haaland wants the move, everybody's happy. £30 million, he comes to us, he's going to be here for the next 5-10 years, sorted. If you're Mino Raiola, are you happy with that? He's only going for 30 million and he's going to stay at United for years. No, I'm not happy about that. I want him to go to United in 2 years, because then I get a little bit of a fee now, but in 2 years' time, when he goes for about 100, I get a big chunk. And this is what I mean. Football has been taken over by greedy people who no longer are thinking about a player's career. Although I'll make you a lot of money in your career, it's all about getting them as many moves as possible before the big one, so then they can get the big chunk. Another example would be Kylian Mbappe from Monaco. Obviously, he goes to PSG for massive money, so Mino Raiola is happy with that. But if Kylian Mbappe wasn't as touted around then, would he have wanted him to go to PSG for 20-30 million? No, I think you're going to be really good. We'll send you off somewhere else, and then there. And I've been saying this about Erling Haaland. I mean, if you watched him today, he played very, very badly against Liverpool. But I've seen him play 2 or 3 times. It was a bit of a bad game for him tonight, and he still probably could have scored 2 goals. So he's still got a lot to learn as well. I think a lot of people will have picked up on the fact that his first touch isn't great, but he's 19. He's 19, and to compare him to Lukaku, who's in his mid-20s, is wrong and unfair. But I think a lot of people might have been watching him for the first time tonight and realised what I've been saying, that if there was an option between him and Timo Werner, I'll take Timo Werner because he's the more complete player. Erling Haaland could be a better player than Timo Werner, but he might not be. And that's why I'd go with Timo Werner. But I just don't feel that this is a good deal for Manchester United to even be trying to do, because the minute Mino Raiola's involved is the minute I sort of think, you know what, let's just get somebody else, because this guy is totally about disrupting. 2 or 3 years ago, everyone loved Mino Raiola, who was given as Zlatan, Mkhitaryan and Pogba. 2-3 years later, I need to be moving Pogba off now, and it's disruptive. So I don't like the thought of Mino Raiola being involved in any deals to do with United, but unfortunately, and in fairness to Raiola, he's probably not the only agent that deals like that. Jay Singh says, isn't that lineup a little strong, Mark? And what do you think about the recent news about the 51% of the shares being sold? Any truth in it? Mate, in relation to Manchester United being sold, I'll believe it when I see it. They're just in the process of doing a big deal with some Chinese website. These deals are never going to stop. The money's not going to stop rolling in. And it's very fluid with Manchester United, isn't it? At the moment, we've beaten Spurs and we've beaten Manchester City, and nobody's talking about Glazers out or Woodward out or anything like that. And, you know, with positivity comes money. So United will be making money again. So the Glazers, even if they were thinking of selling, might be thinking, well, actually, we're all right now. So I don't believe the Glazers are looking to sell Manchester United. I don't think Woodward has got any intention of having that position taken away from him. So I don't think that there's anything in it. And on your other point, that team's a little bit strong, for me, that team might not be strong enough. As I said, it depends how Alkmaar approach this game. I heard somebody say today, Alkmaar are crap, we'll beat them with our youth team. I'm like, where have you been? Where have you been? Did you not watch us go over their place and we should have lost with a strong team? If they beat us, we're second in that Europa League group, and then we've got a really tough game potentially in the knockout stage. If we finish top of the group, we'll get a much easier game in the knockout stage, which means an easier path to the final. I think we've got to get a result on Thursday. Even if it's a draw, we've got to finish top of our group. And I think if we put a team of kids out, we're really jeopardising that, and that would be a stupid thing to do. And M. Shah's right, we need to make sure of the win. Also, in some interesting news today as well, this talk about Saul Niguez to Manchester United. It's coming from Spain that there's a release clause of £125 million, and United would have to pay that. We've been linked to Saul Niguez on and off for a very long time. I do not see this deal happening. I'd be happy if it happens. He's the sort of midfielder that we need at United. But to me, these sort of deals worry me a little bit. And like I was talking about at the weekend about, has anybody got any idea of the players that we're going to sign at United? Because the worrying rumour coming back again today is Mandzukic, and I think that deal is a scary deal because it's a deal that can easily be done. He's not part of Juventus' plans. He wants to move in January. Who wants him? And will it be United who go and do it? And, you know, we talk about Erling Haaland and we talk about Timo Werner. What if we go and sign Mandzukic? What the hell is that all about? I can't even... If we sign Mandzukic in January, all I can honestly tell you is disappointment is my emotion. Just major disappointment, because there's nothing to get excited about. He's 34 in May. Even if he came in and started banging goals in, he's going to be... He might not even be able to give us 6 months. He's 34 in May. Like, it's just a bad signing for Manchester United. But I feel that's what... He's probably the most obvious signing for us to sign in January because he's available. So I don't know who we're going to sign in January, but when I hear about us linked with Saul Niguez, there's two things there. He's not worth 125 million anyway. United won't pay 125 million pounds for a player who's not worth it. And also, it just feels like one of those stories we get with Ronaldo's coming back, Gareth Bale's coming to United. It just feels like a story that just gets regurgitated out there to get the fans excited, which is never going to happen. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I just do not see Saul Niguez coming to United, and it worries me a little bit that these sort of stories are out there. Because why are they out there? Is it to just get us optimistic and nothing happens again? I don't think he's realistic, and we need to do business in January. And as Gary Neville said after the game at the weekend, United need to go and sign 3 experienced players in January. Now, I don't know what Gary Neville means by experienced. I certainly hope he doesn't mean 33-year-olds like Mandzukic or 31-year-olds like Rakitic who've never played in the Premier League. Experienced players for United would be 25-year-olds like Bruno Fernandes, like Emre Can, those sort of players. That's the sort of player I think United should be looking to bring in. But to be honest with you, when you try to scratch around to find out what United are looking at, it's pretty quiet, especially around the midfield. The only names that are jumping up are Mandzukic and Sean Longstaff and people like that, and I don't think they're good enough. But I'm just hoping at the moment United are keeping their cards close to their chest, because at the moment, in relation to signings, apart from Longstaff and Mandzukic, there's not a lot out there that you'd go, that looks like it's going to happen. And remember, the transfer window does open in 3 weeks' time. CJ says, so are you saying you would rather we sign a world-class striker or up-and-coming striker that's going to take game time from Martial? Mandzukic would be a bad signing off the bench and for meaningless games. I think you mean he would be a good signing, CJ. My issue with Mandzukic is that he's done. He's at, he can't even get in the Juventus side, and that Juventus side's all right. It's got Ronaldo, it's got Dybala, it's got Higuain, but it's not. If he was anywhere near decent, he would be involved in that Juventus team, and he can't get in. And as I've said to you about Mandzukic before, he had 2 major injuries in January and April, and we want to buy a player like that. We've done this before. Eric Bailly, 3 big injuries before we bought him. Always been injury prone. We bought Dalot injured, and they're young players in their 20s. Mandzukic had a bad injury in January, a bad injury in April, and has not played this season. And he's 34 in May. I don't agree with the comment that he'd be useful in the meaningless games and as an option off the bench. Why? For how long? 6 months, or until he gets an injury and finishes his career? I would rather go with a Haaland. Yes, I would, because he can give us 10 years. I don't want anybody to come in who's going to take Martial's spot or Rashford's spot or Dan James' spot. I want somebody who can compete with them and give us a bit of depth. That's what I want. I'm worried that Ed won't sign anyone if we go on like last year, says Samuel Hapona. What do I think about McTominay's contract extension, says Jacob Davidson. I think it's fantastic. I think he totally deserves it, without a shadow of a doubt. And I agree with Nash Chi. Any James Maddison rumours are absolutely irrelevant for United, because it's not going to happen in January. We're specifically talking about January at the moment. And I know I've said this before. Last season, when Ollie came in, we were very excited, and a lot of us wanted United to sign at least one player in January, and we signed nobody. And what we did do, we announced Martial's new contract, which is like a new signing, and we didn't sign anybody. And then in February and March, we had major injury problems, didn't we? I think loads of players were injured. I think Pogba was, Herrera was, I think Matic got injured, maybe Martial got injured, Rashford. We had a lot of people injured between February and March, which is why we went to PSG with such a decimated squad. And yeah, Pogba was injured, wasn't he? We had loads of injuries, and I remember saying in February and March, and a lot of you did, this is why we should have bought somebody in January. And effectively, it probably cost us top 4. We can't make that mistake again. Even if we go and do what I think and hope we're going to do, which is go on a really good run and beat Everton and Watford and Burnley and Newcastle and Arsenal, win 5 in a row, we'll be in a race for top 4. Maybe it'll carry on into January a little bit. But what will definitely happen again is we'll have another injury crisis. Whether it's February or March or April, we will have another injury crisis because we haven't got any depth in the midfield or the attack. So we've got to sign players. We can't come out of January without signing players. And I've said before, actually, I'd rather we didn't sign players in January if you can get a better player in June. Because what I would say to you is, would you rather get Erling Haaland in January or Timo Werner in the summer? Would you rather get Christian Eriksen in January or James Maddison in the summer? Would you rather get Sean Longstaff in January or would you rather get Thomas Partey in the summer? I would rather go for the summer option with every one of those. But do I trust United to be even in for those sort of players? No, I don't. So I do see the problem with the January transfer window, but it's a self-created problem by Ollie and Woodward that they didn't buy in the summer. The summer was the time to get midfielders and an attacker. And the reason we didn't do it is because Woodward is so slow. And whoever he's got working with him are so slow at doing transfers. So I would be, realistically, when you look at the way United do deals, I'd be surprised if we got one player in January, really. But, Gary Neville's talking about 2 or 3. I'd be stunned. I'd be absolutely stunned if we did. Mark, with how United have been the last 6 years, why do you think Haaland would do anything other than come for 3 years max, then move on to a bigger club, especially if Raiola is involved, says Apathetic Gamer? Well, you probably inadvertently raise a great point there. If you look at United now, and we're United, we love United, we think we're the biggest club in the world, and that's what it's like being a United fan. But one of the interesting things that's happened over the last year or two is that if you look at the players that have left United, whether we want them to go or they've gone of their own accord, they've all gone on to better things. Technically gone on to better things. Ander Herrera walked away to go to PSG, better club. Lukaku wanted out to go to Inter. He thinks it's a better club. I don't think it is, but he thinks it's a better club. Sanchez wanted to get out of United to go to Inter, who he thinks is a better club. Chris Smalling's gone to Roma. I mean, I don't think Roma are better than United, but he's gone on to play. He's playing better than he was here. So, to say that Haaland might only come for 3 years and then go on to better things, you're not wrong. There's a lot of players that are leaving United and going on to better things for them. But that's to do with what's going wrong with the club. The last 6 years haven't been good enough. And whilst our fan base still stays the same and we still love the club and we still think we're the best in the world, results don't lie. And United, if they did bring Haaland in, maybe he would go. But that's the challenge for the club. If Manchester United can get back to challenging for titles, why would anybody want to go, really, unless they go into their dream? Why did Ronaldo ever want to leave United? He'd been to 2 Champions League finals in a row, one of which he'd won. He'd won numerous Premier League titles. He was winning Player of the Year awards and World Player of the Year awards at United. Why did Ronaldo need to leave Manchester United? Because he'd always wanted to play for Real Madrid. You're never going to stop a player from doing that. But what United need to get back to is being a team that nobody would want to leave. And I think Liverpool have done that very, very well. Suarez, Coutinho, Torres, they left to go on to better things because Liverpool never used to win anything. Now, do you really think they're going to lose Van Dijk or Mane or Salah? Because they are the champions of Europe. They're going to be the Premier League winners. Unless any of those players has a life dream to play for Real Madrid or Barcelona, they're not going to go. And that's where United need to get back to. If players, if United continue like they are, who's to say that in a couple of years, Martial won't go, I want to go and play for PSG, or I want to go and play for Juventus. They're better than United. Or, maybe Fred would do that. Or Dan James might do that. I think the danger of where United are as a football club at the moment is that we've had 6 bad years that could become 10 bad years. We'll never stop thinking we're a big club because that's what fans do. But players at the club might be like, I'll come here for a couple of years and then I'm going somewhere better. And that's the danger of what we might be creating, because that ambition and desire to stay at United for 10 years might disappear apart from with the younger lads. I mean, there was a story floating around today that, Rashford's people did actually talk to Barcelona. Now, I can't see that. I can't see that because I just think Rashford's Manc born and bred. Why would he leave United? But I take that as a compliment anyway if Barcelona were genuinely in for Marcus Rashford, because we are genuinely seeing what Marcus Rashford can do at the moment. It's going to be interesting. Let's hope Ed Woodward and Matthew Judge don't take too long on transfers this time, says Ruth Mayers. Well, that's the good and the bad situation, isn't it? Because we just don't know what business we're looking to do in January. And if United... What I would say is, if United took a month to, well, it was longer than a month on Wan-Bissaka, and they took longer than a month on Harry Maguire. Well, it's only longer than a month till the end of January, isn't it? It's not that much. So we must be working on these deals now. I do wonder if United are going to go and sign Sean Longstaff, which just baffles me. And I would hope our scouting network has unearthed a gem. But he's not even been a gem for Newcastle, has he? So, yeah, it will be very interesting to see what Manchester United do in January. But I certainly would repeat what I've just said. We cannot not do it. You can't do nothing because Ollie keeps talking about bloody injuries all the time. And the reality is we've not had that many injuries. Like Pogba's been injured, Martial's been injured, but that's 2 players. Like look at the injuries that City have had and Chelsea have had. They've had a lot more injuries than us, but what they have got is a backup. They've got depth in their midfield and in their attack that they can play players. And I think United definitely do need to be looking at that. That's something that January needs to be about. Otherwise, we really do put ourselves in jeopardy of missing out on even being a top 6 seed. We could end up dropping again if we don't bring a bit of depth in it. And also, look at that team on the right. Look at that team on the right there. It's, we're talking about this game against Everton at the weekend being a big game, and of course it is. But with And can I just say as well, in relation to Sean Longstaff, that's why I was looking at something there. Sean Longstaff is on the bench for Newcastle at the moment. He's not even starting for Newcastle. So why would we be looking at a player like that? It would be ridiculous. It really, really would. But yeah, going back to what I was saying there, I mean, people saying let's play a youth team against AZ Alkmaar. Well, if we lose, we come second in the group and we get a hard game in the Europa League that we're trying to win. It doesn't make any sense. But do you really want to be playing Wan-Bissaka, Scott McTominay, Marcus Rashford? No, you don't. But the reason we would have to do that is because if you don't play Rashford, who are you going to play up front? If you don't play McTominay, you're going to play James Garner in there. And if you don't play Wan-Bissaka, you're going to play Ethan Laird there. And that doesn't weaken us, but it gives AZ Alkmaar a better chance of beating us. And I don't think we can give them a chance to beat us because it will hinder us later on in the season if we're not top of the group. But if you do play a McTominay or a Rashford, you run that risk of them picking up an injury or being tired for the more important game on Sunday. So squad depth is a problem for United, and we all know that. Squad depth is a problem. Please do smash a like on the video, everyone. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes while we're live. The people are talking about this Saudi takeover. I just would not believe it. I think there's a lot of propaganda coming out there about that. Adam Kawaya says, when will the Glazers learn that if they want to make a profit from United, which they do, they need to invest in the squad and the business to buy players? Very difficult though, because they're not Manchester United fans. They want the success on the pitch, but they don't want to spend their money to get it. They want to make profit. They're not Manchester United fans. They're businessmen. So they're not. The Glazers are not sat there at home tonight going, "Oh, I can't believe we've beaten Spurs and Man City, but we lost to West Ham and Newcastle. We could have been in a top four if we hadn't done that." They're not thinking that. They've got no comprehension of what that is. They're looking at the bank balance, going, "Oh man, it's they're not driven by United winning Premier Leagues and Champions League. They'd like that to happen, but they want it to happen by spending as less money as possible. Because if United were run by the person who runs Manchester City or the people that run Liverpool, we would spend a hell of a lot more money. Doesn't guarantee success. The appointments might not be right, but we would spend more money. What player do you think would help United the most out of everyone in the world at the moment, says Ads? Well, I don't like those sort of questions because it's not realistic. And I like real. So what one player do I think would help Manchester United right now that is available? I think United need a player to help Fred and McTominay out. So that if Pogba stays, he can play in the more advanced position, or you use Lingard or whatever. We need another box-to-box or sitting midfielder to play where McTominay and Fred play. And I would always try and buy somebody that actually, when you buy them, could be better than them to give some competition. Who is available in January. For me, I think it will upset a lot of people, but I think for what is available right now and what we need right now, I do think Emre Can ticks every single box. He's cheap, he's 25, he's experienced, and he can play those roles. And he actually might come into the team and not displace McTominay and Fred, but he could certainly, if we had him now, you'd say Scott, have a rest for the weekend, we'll play Can with Pereira. So I think for what's available now, I would go for that player. I could say to you Kante, or I could say to you Fabinho. They're exactly what I would go for, but I don't do that because it's never going to happen. I can offer you a name that's realistic. And I'd love an Ndidi, but it's not realistic. But that is what I would go for. My second one would be Bruno Fernandes, as you know. And the only reason I didn't go for Bruno Fernandes is because I've always said that I feel that the centre defensive midfield position is where we are very, very lightweight. We've got McTominay and Fred. Matic is crap. Pereira can't play that role. I think Garner's not ready to be doing that role. It's unfair. And I don't like Pogba in that role. So CDM is the position we need. Whether it's the one we go and get, I don't know. Maybe we'll, but Bruno Fernandes would be my next one. I think if he would be superb at United, but he's more of an attacking midfielder, of course. And if United have got the chance to sign Timo Werner, they should. I really do like Timo Werner, gold and silver. I don't think he'll end up coming to United, but I would like a player of that quality because he'd come into the club. He's relatively young. He's still in his early 20s. He'd expect to be starting, but he'd have a real battle with James and Martial and Rashford, and he'd have 4 players of real quality there to battle it out, and then Greenwood as the youth option. I'd be very happy with that, yeah. I get what people are saying about Emre Can. I mean, Authentic Angler says he's a mercenary, he's an ex-Liverpool player. I agree with all that. But what did I say before? Sentiment is something that you've got time for when you're in a comfortable position. We're in a hole trying to dig our way out. If Emre Can wants to come to United and he can make us better than what we are, and he's available, and he's the best of what is available, then at the end of the day, I'm going to do it because I want to be ruthless. I want to get us back to where we are. Time for sentiment and picking and choosing can come when we get back to being a big club. But at the moment, we're in a mess. And if someone could come in and improve us for a cheap price, I'd do it. I would do it. I wouldn't have done. We spoke about him in the summer. I thought we were in a stronger position than we are now. And I said no. I said no to Gareth Bale in the summer as well. But I'd take Bale at the moment. I think we're in that much of a mess for depth and quality. I would take Bale. I would take Emre Can. And I think that's how far we've fallen in 6 months in relation to the depth of our squad. I don't think we've fallen well, we have, but I don't think we're in a terrible mess, but I think that we are so threadbare that we do need to bring players in. Said Jamie says, I'd replace Werner for Martial because you can't trust him, always gets injured. Well, there is that question. I mean, Martial's my favourite player, so I'm always going to defend him, but there is that question mark around Martial and his fitness levels. I mean, already this season he's been out for a long time, and he's had a little knock that he missed the Spurs game, didn't he? So I'd like to think Martial won't pick up another injury this season, but you sort of worry that he does. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Please do smash a like on the video. Get your comments in below. Astana is on Thursday night. I don't think we should be going too weak or too young, because I think it would be really bad to lose this game. And I think people aren't thinking about this game because we've got Everton at the weekend. But trust me, we lose this game, we finish second in the group, and we do jeopardise our chances of winning the Europa League. It would be a mistake not to try and win this game. It would be a mistake to lose this game because it will make it harder for us in the knockout stage. We can avoid a hard game by not losing on Thursday. And to stop that happening, I think we do need to go a little bit stronger than people want us to. I don't know what Ollie will do. Ollie might just put a team of youth out and say, I'm not bothered if we finish second in the group. But that, to me, would be a little bit odd. It would. But, each their own. It's all about opinion. That's what it's all about. Thanks, everyone. Please smash a like on the video. Keep supporting the channel. It is our community. We've built it from nothing. Don't let people start knocking it and turning it and telling lies about what it always is. It's always been about real fan opinion. And some people are Ollie in, some people are on the fence, some people aren't. Some people think Jesse Lingard's Messi's brother. Some people think he's just a bang average bench player. It doesn't matter because it's football fans having an opinion, and that's what it should always be about. So keep having yours. Thanks for watching. We are live tomorrow morning at just after 10 o'clock because Ollie's got a presser. So I will do a reaction to that. I'll speak to you soon.